Welcome to another special edition of Parrot Show Podcast. Today is Mother's Day, and to mark the day, we are bringing you a special interview on parenting with a very proud mother, a virtuous woman, Mrs Olubunmi Salako, the mother of Miss Nigeria Ireland 2009, Emanuela Salako. As she bears it all on the journey of motherhood, the importance of fathers in a home, and the need for a united African community in Ireland. We started by asking her the importance of Mother's Day.
Mother's Day to me is a day to rejoice, is a day to thank God for the privilege of being a mother, because it's not an easy job. It's like God gave lives of children into your hand to nurture and to bring to adulthood and to help them to be able to fit into the society and make impact in the world as a whole. So I see it as a great privilege and as a day of saying thank you, God, for allowing me to see today with my children surrounding my table. That's what it's actually meant to me.
What is the strength of your family?
God has given me 4 beautiful girls and a wonderful husband. So God is my strength because He's a provider.
They are all grown up now.
Yes, they are. They are grown up, and I thank God they are all working. They all graduated, some with master's degree. So, and they all have their paying jobs that they are. So I thank God for that. I don't need to say, I want to give money to one or the other. They are all settled job-wise.
With 4 girls, you must be getting spoiled.
They love me, and they compete to place me, to make sure that I'm happy. Like one of them took me out yesterday, just said, Mom, let's go, let's just stroll down to the shopping center. We did. We got there and she asked me to pick what I want. Then, she just paid for them. And certain things that I saw in another shop I wanted to pay. I said, no, mom, that's on me. Most of them will do that whenever we are together. They want to make sure I'm spoiled and all that. And when I keep thanking them, they say, Mom, you've paid your dues. It is now our turn to make you feel happy. So I always get that, and I'm happy for it.
I'm sure they must have spoiled you this morning.
Yes, they have. I had my breakfast in bed. That is one of the things they make sure they do on Mother's Day. They will have taken my order a night before. Mom, what would you like for breakfast? And I will have said. So they wake up early to make me breakfast. And I always look forward to it, and I always make sure I enjoy it as much as I can. Because coming from them, it is golden to me. So they always do that. And whenever they are around too, they make sure that they give meals to me and their dad.
You must be very fulfilled now.
I wouldn't say I have attained yet. I have not, until I start seeing my children's children. That is when I'll say, well, and I see them impact what I've impacted in them, in their own children. That is when I can say, yes, I have actually achieved. Because I want to see the impact of what they received on their children as well.
What are some of the challenges of being a young wife and a young mother?
That discussion wouldn't be complete until I talk about the waiting period. Because these days, women have waiting period as well. So I still have to talk about it. I remember that I've been in my marriage for about 3 years before I finally had a child. And it's something that I actually looked forward to. When you have to wait, the anxiety and everything. And when the baby now comes, the joy. I remember having my first baby then. I couldn't sleep. You will expect that a mother who just labored will go to sleep. I couldn't. I was overjoyed, looking at the limp, everything, And for 3 days in the hospital, I didn't sleep. And I got home and I broke down. I got home, I broke down, and I couldn't even take care of the child that I was meant to take care. So that was the first shock of motherhood for me. Then, one of the things that I would say that I regretted from the onset was 2 weeks before I delivered my first baby, I was in the US. 2 weeks before. And I could have had my baby there. But for the fact that I would not see anybody to help me, I was so afraid. How am I going to carry the baby? How am I going to feed the baby? How am I going to wash the baby? All this anxiety. I won't find anybody to cook for me. So I carried the pregnancy back to Nigeria, and I had the baby in Nigeria. And you know what that means. So that was the first challenge that I had, caring for the baby and myself. And when they started growing up, as a working mother at the time, have to ensure that I have a very good housemaid. And you know what it is in Nigeria. For you to get the one that you can trust is very difficult. So at a point, I had to bring in my husband's grandmother to stay with us so that she can take good care of the children while I'm out of the house. So that helped a bit before she returned. And, choosing the best school for your children, ensuring that they are getting the best of teachers, and, everything was a challenge at the time, because by the time they recommend you to this, you discover there's something wrong with it, you have to, go for another one. So, those are some of the challenges. And the fact that you still have to come back home, make sure their homeworks are done, ensure that they are eating right, everything is, is going well for them. They are not imbibing the values of other people, but yours and their dad's, it's a great challenge.
And when they are grown up, making sure they do the right thing is another big problem.
It is. Because, the society where we are now, even in Nigeria now, you cannot say categorically that, I know my children cannot do this. Because you don't know what is happening outside. It is the most difficult aspect. The peer group influence is so strong that if you are not, what you're supposed to do in the life of your children, they are easily swayed. And they have the tendency to have two characters, one for home, one for outside. One to please their peer groups out there, and one to please you at home. And before you discover what is really happening, it will be too late.
What is the best part of being a mom, madam?
Well, the best part of being a mom is to see your children succeed in every aspect of life. In their education, in their relationships, relationship with people, relationship with their partners, relationship with God. When all these aspects are in place, then you see yourself as fulfilled. And you see them having their own children as well and training them in the way that they should go. Then you see that yourself as being fulfilled.
Today is about celebrating motherhood. Tell us what you learned from your mom as a young girl.
There's no daughter that will say, she has not learned one thing or the other, especially being the first daughter in my family. I saw my mom bringing up my brothers, my only sister, and I will always help her in doing, things around the house, washing clothes for the baby and all that. And I remember that our only sister, my mom's only sister, lived with us at some point, and she was having babies as well. And I was helping to take care of, her babies. And I even had one of them living with me when I got married. So, it's something that I grew up into, and I know how to go about, because I was helping with feeding, washing the clothes, making the milk and all that. And when a baby cries, I know how to to pet them to sleep and all. So it's something that, has been part of me growing up.
Cooking and kitchen chores would have been part of what you learned from your mom?
Oh, yes. I even remembered that at a point, with the kind of chores that I was doing in the house, I had to ask my father if exactly the woman in the house was my mom, because I thought I was being overused. Surprisingly, I was in the boarding house, but whenever I came home then, I would have had so much that I would do. Dirty clothes would be waiting. I wouldn't have finished washing that. I'll be ironing. They'll be piling some, again. I would do the cooking. Because I'm the eldest daughter in the house. I have, brothers. And my only sister was a baby. So I was the one doing everything in the house. So then I was so bitter. I was thinking my mom was using me to train the others. And I would cry, go to my dad to ask questions. He would just be laughing. He would be telling me, she's your mom. She's training you. And I remember when I was over 50, I was here in Ireland. I placed a call to my mom on Mother's Day to thank her. When I looked at my life, I saw the training that she had given me while growing up. And I see that it's paying for me. Because I looked at myself then, I said, if there's 1,000 people waiting for me to serve them, I'll do it without looking back. And I will not be tired. That is how strong, I have been from her training. And I'm really thankful to her.
Have you been able to impart on your children the training you got from your mother?
Well, I wouldn't say they're the same thing, but they are close. The training, my training, their training is very close. Because when I look at all my children, you'll see that they are hard workers. They are hard workers. They never get tired unless they've achieved what they want to achieve. And I believe they saw that in me. They saw the way, I was going, even while they were small. They saw the way I handle things. And they can't just sit back and say they want to relax when they've not achieved what they have to achieve. I train them to cook. I train them to make home. I train them to respect elders. I train them in all aspects. And I sometimes tell them, my house is the second Nigerian embassy in Ireland. So they know that I'm an African woman to the core. I don't, I don't compromise when it comes to training of children. I cannot stand unruly children around me or disobedient children. I know I can't have it all, but I tried my best to make sure that I always tell them. Even now, whenever they do anything that I think is not acceptable, I still tell them. Because there's no way the Western culture will not creep into it. So whenever I see the Western culture that is not acceptable in our culture, I always say to them that you can't do this with an African mother-in-law. You can't do this with an African husband. I always say it.
So can we say you bridged the cultures and took out the best values?
You take the values in the two cultures and you merge it. And that is what I've done coming into Ireland.
So it has been positive?
It has been very positive. It has been positive. I remember when I newly arrived in Ireland and there was trouble about discipline of children, especially among the African society, and particularly Nigerians. The first thing I did was to go for parenting course here, because I wouldn't want to do anything that would be against the law, where any of my children would be taken into care, because that was the in thing then. So when I saw the way they were parenting, I took the positive ones and I merged it with mine. And with God's help, it has worked so far.
Indiscipline and antisocial behavior seems to be the order of the day. What advice can you give parents on raising focused and disciplined children?
Yeah, I think I've touched on it while we were talking, but I'll just summarize it. That for you to have disciplined, well-brought-up children who will grow up to be successful adults, you must first commit them into God's hand. I don't care what anybody says. If God says no, no one can say yes. So you first commit them in God's hand. You have to be interested in everything they do. It is hard work. And that is what some mothers don't see. That this is hard work that they have to put their head into. I remember when I was raising these children, because of my educational background and because of the training that I've gone through, I know the stages of growth of children. So before my children get to the next stage of life, I'm already there and I know what to expect and I know how I'm going to handle it. For example, when they were growing into their teenage years, I knew they're going to start, to have interest in music, have interest in Hollywood actors and actresses. I was buying magazines. I kept up to date with whatever was happening in Hollywood at the time. So I will be the first to bring up the discussion, around that, around music that they should not listen to. And I will let them know the reason. It was always a discussion, in the house. And I remember that every Monday, we always have fellowship in the house. After the Bible fellowship, we now review what happened last week, what went wrong, what went right. And we always admonish each other. So I think that helped me a lot. And they knew growing up that I am very interested in every step they take. So they always tell me, and I make sure that I'm their friend. When I discipline them, I let them know the reason why they have to be disciplined. And before I even say, before I talk of any rule in the house, we are together making that rule. Together. So they will be the one coming up with the consequences of their actions. I will just tell them, these are the rules, and they'll give me the consequences. So if you break the rules, I will apply the consequence. And I don't joke with that. So we are friends. Even though I'm their mom, I'm also their friend. So that goes a long way. And we advise mothers to make sure that their children are able to discuss whatever with them. And it's the way they handle it. You admonish your children in love. When they see that you are not doing it because you hate them, you are doing it because you love them, they will be free with you. They will be free to talk to you about anything. Because it's better for them to talk with you than to talk with somebody outside there. They will get wrong advice from outside. But with you, they are safe. So that's just what I will say. Plenty of prayer, plenty of supervision, ensuring that they are doing the right thing. And ensuring that when you say your child is somewhere, if they are checked upon, they will be fine there.
What do you say about a parent who spends the family resources on vanities?
Oh, well, I will say that whatever earthly material things they're running after will perish. It is the legacy they leave for their children that will go on to the generations to come. So I think they have to look at it down the line, look at the effect of their own actions now on their children and on the children's children to whatever generation they will live. So whatever happens to their children will have effect on the grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and so on. So I will advise such mothers to think twice. Think of the everlasting legacy rather than the perishable things that they're running after. And like we said earlier, mothers are role models. Whatever you do, whatever your children see you do, is what they will end up doing. It will be difficult for a mother who sleeps around, for example, to tell the daughter not to. It will be difficult for a mother who smokes and drinks in front of children to tell them not to do the same. There is no moral justification for that for her. Since she's showing the example, she's only telling the children that, well, when you grow up, you can do it too, regardless of the effect on their health and so on.
Are mothers failing in their duties to be role models to their children?
Well, I wouldn't say that categorically. I wouldn't. The reason is that every parent wants the best for their children. Every parent does. How they get there is just the problem there. The way they get to having what they want for their children. Some people may get it wrong, while some may get it right. And that is why I said motherhood is the privilege from God. And getting to, achieving your goal on your children also is a privilege. I believe with all my heart that all parents, all mothers want the best for their children. But some may get it wrong, like I said. And I will expect that if any mother is having problem with their children, they should have somebody that they will confide in and say, well, what do I do? This is what is happening. What do I do? If it's somebody that can help, it will go a long way other than keeping it to themselves, till it gets out of hand. But to say that, some mothers are failing, it is not of their making. I wouldn't say it's of their making.
There are a lot of parental display of irresponsibilities on the social media. What do you think?
Well, whatever we do, either on social media or in real life, there should be moderation. That is what I would say. There should be moderation. Anything that is taken into excess will come back hurting us. Like Nigeria today, you have to limit what you do on the social media. Especially if we portray yourself as somebody who is well-to-do, who people can look up to. It could come two ways. It's either you are exposing yourself to danger of kidnappers, of armed robbers and all that, all the negativity that comes with it, the crime in Nigeria. Or, you have more people asking for your help, even when you don't have the means to do it. So I believe that whatever you have to do on the social media should be minimal. Should be minimal. I will say I am on it for political reasons. I am on social media for political reasons. And at the initial stage, when I joined, I was there for my children. Because I discussed with my husband, and both of us said, the best thing is to be there to monitor what they do. Because you cannot tell with these children. You might think you are having it good with them in the house, and behind your back, they are doing something else. So if you are on their neck at every angle, you are able to actually see who your children are in real life.
We have parents who support their children even when they are wrong or are misbehaving.
Firstly, I would say it's a fear of failure on the part of the parent that acts like that. The fear of, people are going to say I didn't train that child. So they're always on the defensive. But the result is that they are killing that child slowly. Because when a child acts wrong, instead of you finding out, getting to the bottom of it, and making sure that you correct it, but you are backing the wrong thing, the consequences will not be palatable at the end of the day. Because that child will grow up to believe that he's always right. Whatever I do out there, they won't believe it. They will always be on my side. It's not going to help that child. And the mother will suffer for it. The mother will suffer for it at the end of the day. Because you are not training the child the way you're supposed to train the child. A child should be able to take responsibility for his or her action. And I believe that parents who act like that don't learn responsibilities themselves. Because I don't see anything wrong if I offend you and I apologize. There is nothing wrong in it. That is where humility comes in. If you know that you have wronged somebody, apologize. When you do that, the child will learn from it. I will even ask that child to apologize in front of that person. I believe that's the way to go if you want to bring up a healthy child.
How can moving with the right people bring out the best in a parent?
Oh, you cannot even overemphasize that, because just sitting around doing nothing will create a lot of problems health-wise. But when you are active, you move around and you move with good people as well, you have a good laugh, definitely you look younger than ever. And your heart is clean. You're not thinking of evil against anyone. You are happy within. It is the beauty inside that radiates outside. That's what a lot of people don't know. And that is why people will judge anyone they come across, because they don't know who that person is. They just assume. It is the beauty inside that radiates outside. If you are ugly inside, it will show on your face. It's like when you are under the weather, you're not happy or you're sick. It will show on your face. So when you keep happy, you move with the right people, you have good relationship in the home, definitely you will look young.
In your opinion, can being busy help mothers to bring out the best in them?
Exactly. You get busy, you are prayerful, make sure you're doing the right thing. And when what I mean by right thing is, doing what God wants you to do. As a mother, and, in any environment you find yourself, make sure you impact people. Because I love helping people. I love guiding, mentoring. And when I see people that I mentor, when I see them succeed, it makes me feel happy. When I put smiles on people's faces, it makes me happy. So when we start doing that, helping each other instead of running each other down, it will go a long way to impact our lives as well.
Please tell us your educational background and that of your family.
It's a long story, but I will shorten it. I remember when my mom took me to school in 1963 to start primary school, because education was the end thing then, in those days, during Awolowo time. And the principal asked me, the headmistress then asked me to use my right hand to touch my left ear. And my hands was so short then I couldn't touch it. And I was sent back home. I remember how much I cried. I was asked to start in the following year, that my hand will have grown to my... That is the way they measure your age then. So I started at age 7, 1964. I started. And I remember how much I loved school and how much I was encouraged by my parents until I got to primary 6. And I gained the entrance to secondary school. But for some reason, my dad did not pay my deposit to accept the admission. And admission was very hard at the time. I had to stay at home for another 2 or 3 years before I entered secondary school. So for that reason, I made up my mind that I was going to give it my all. That I will give it my all, whatever it takes. And I thank God that I went through my secondary school. I went for grade 2 teacher's certificate. After that, I went for NCE. It was after NCE that I entered the university for my first degree. And I remember saying it at age 5 that I want to be a teacher. And I thank God that I pursue my dream. After my first degree, I did my master's degree. And I always say to my children, if you do not go past master's degree, just make sure you have master's degree. Because that is the template that I have laid, I've put down in the family. That at least they must have a master's degree.
How important is a happy home to a mother?
It's very healthy. It is, it's healthy. It makes the children happy. And you're giving them a model to follow. Your relationship with your husband is something that will have impact on the children. If you are the nagging type, you know the house will be on fire. If you are the submissive one, they are learning that when they get married too, that's the way to go to have peace. If you are cooperative with your husband, if they see that the two of you work hand in hand, the children will know that there is no hiding place for them. Because there are, some homes that the children are so manipulative because they've seen the gap between their parents. When dad says A, the mom will say B. And the children will capitalize on that. They will use it to manipulate the two of you. And the result is usually very bad. But when they see the unity between the dad and the mom, they know that their voices will be one. And whatever they say is what's going to happen. So there's no hiding place. And they don't have a choice other than to obey whatever your instructions are to them. And when they grow up too, they know how to handle their relationships. They know how to handle their homes. And consequently, they know how to handle their children as well. So it's very important that dad and mom, husband and wife in the home must portray that, good relationship, friendship between them that the children can learn from. It's not that they won't have their challenges. The challenges will be there. But as a mom, you don't discuss your husband with your children. Because that is a big blunder that a lot of women that they commit. When you start discussing their dad with them, first you are pushing them away from relationships. You are telling them that it's not good to have relationship, that men are bad. So, they won't be looking forward to it. If this is what my mom is getting, why should I put my head in it? So it will be a big mistake for you as a mother to start discussing, especially with your daughters. Start discussing your husband or discussing what is wrong between the two of you with them. Whatever happens between the two of you should be the business between the two of you.
In your opinion, what are the roles of fathers in a home?
The roles of father is very, very important. Even though we always talk of mom, fathers are there as the head of the home. And I always use my own husband as the last resort whenever I'm disciplining my children or whenever they want to do anything wrong. Anytime I mentioned their dad, that is somewhere they don't want to go. They don't want me reporting them to their dad. So you'll see him coming in at the very last, at the very last stage. And, whenever he comes in, the children knows, they've overrun their bounds. They play very, very important role because they too are role models. They look at their dad and look at things that they look for in their men. The care that their dad gives to them, the care that their dad gives to their mom, things like that. That, reminds me of when I first got married. My husband would not allow me to go to the market. You will expect that your husband will give you money for the upkeep in the house. My husband, at the end of the month, we go to the market and buy everything. When he comes home, he will cook. And I was so angry. I was like, what the hell does this man think he's doing? I was so angry that I had to report to his mom that, well, you know the Nigerian context. When a man is doing behaving like that, they would think maybe you have charmed him or something. But I was looking at it in a way that, does it think I'm going to embezzle his upkeep or something? That was the way I was looking at it. And I didn't even know is the level of care that he has for his wife. Until the mom said, You better leave him alone. That's the way his dad was doing before he died. That whenever she had a baby, my father-in-law would wake up at 4 a.m. to prepare her bath water, clean her, make sure that everything is okay, prepare breakfast. And he will come home during lunchtime. He works in the hospital across the house. He will come home to make lunch and eat with his wife before going back to work. When my mother started, telling me all these stories, I said, okay, I just relaxed. So whenever he cooks, I'll just take my plate and go and, and eat. This morning, he had made akara. Before you arrived, he had made akara and brought it to me. That I have to eat it hot, hot, hot. That's the level of care. And these are things that the girls are looking in him, they are looking at it and they are appreciating. And I'm sure they will want to say that in their men as well. So fathers are showing children what relationship should be on the side of the father as well. Because it takes two. A woman is the home builder, but without the support of the husband, you might not be able to build a home. So it's very crucial that the father, does his own part as well.
Are you saying that it's important to live in peace with your husband?
Is the next person to me. So the best thing is to make sure that you keep your relationship, apart from the fact that you are showing the children the way to go, you are building your own life as well. And you give yourself longer life. If you live in peace with your spouse, you'll be able to enjoy together when the children are out of the house.
How important is it for a woman to try to keep peace at home?
I always look at women that wants to claim equal rights with men. And I look at them, I laugh. Because we are the owner of the home. We are the homemakers. We are the home builder. And whatever we do is what the children will do when they grow up. They pick everything from us. The reason being that we spend more time with them than their dad. We know the roles fathers play. They have to go out and bring in money to make sure that the family is okay. The mother is always with the children. Even if you're a working mother, you still spend more time with your children than their father. So I believe women are the key role model in the family. And it is our duty, to make sure that we are showing that, portraying that values that we want our children to grow up with.
What stage are you now with the children?
They've grown to the stage that I'm just praying to God that I should lead them now. Because it's time for them to get married. It's time for them to start having children. And it can only come from God. So that is not within my own power to do. What I do now is to lift them to God in prayer daily. To say, God, choose for them. Choose for them. The one that will love them. The one that will care for them. The one that they will be together forever. That's the stage where I am at. And it's a stage that, I'm now closer to my husband. Because now they're on their own. Even though they come in and out, they're on their own. And you don't expect that they live with you forever. I'm now with my husband. So I'm closer to him now. So all we do now is to make sure that we lift them in prayers, commit them in God's hand, wherever they go.
Is that an advice to mothers that they should keep their husband, because at the point in time the children running around the house, they are going to...
I am telling you, I always tell your mothers, I say, enjoy your children while they are still small. Enjoy them. Give them the best. Because there will be a time when you will be phoning and they'll be telling you, Mom, I can't make it this weekend. And I don't even think I can make it this month. And you'll be with your husband. Your husband will be the only person. And your wife as well, because it goes both ways. Will be the only one. You'll be each other's companion. If you're not together, I'm afraid you'll be lonely.
Let's talk about our very own Emanuela. Maybe we should start with her passion for dance.
I remember that Emanuela was a child that wouldn't want to watch TV when she was even baby. When others were watching cartoon, you wouldn't see her doing it. She would rather be somewhere else. But whenever music comes up on TV, my baby will crawl from wherever she is and stand by the TV and start dancing. So the dance thing has been in her since then. When we got to Ireland, she started doing the youth program in church where she'll put youth together and train them to dance. And I was like, why dance? Anytime there's youth program, she wants to go. But at a point, the sisters too were into the dance thing, to the extent that the sister got a contract with the college here to be teaching the hip-hop society in the college. And she drew Emanuela into it. And Emanuela was the one that lasted with the contract. Because others left dancing, she was the only one left. So when I started saying things like that, I said, well, maybe I am doing the wrong thing, not supporting her fully with her passion. So I changed my method. I just make sure that I take her whenever she's going. And I know when she's going to finish, I'll pick her up. So I was doing that.
And her involvement in the Miss Nigerian Island, can you still remember how it all started?
Yes, I remember that we attended the white, bold and beautiful, all-white party. I remember Yinka Odeaju sending me tickets for the event, 10 tickets. And I was like, who am I going to sell the tickets to? But I ended up paying for all the tickets. And it got to the day we were to come for. I've told my daughters we were going for this event. But on that day, they started giving me loads of excuses. We're not going. I said, no way. I can't pay $250 and not have people there. So I forced the four of them into the car. And we fought all the way to Dublin to attend. I remember when we got there that they were dancing. They were doing the competition. And I asked them all to go and join, and all of them ran. It was only Emanuela that I forced to go and join. I said, Shebi, you dance, just go there. And she joined. And I wasn't even looking at the competition because I was busy talking with the embassy officials. So I wasn't concentrating on what they were doing until somebody came to me and said, your child has been picked as one of the first 5. That was when I now paid attention. Eventually, she won the car on that event, if you remember. She won the car there. And she came back to me to say some people were asking her to enter for Miss Nigeria. I said, Miss Nigeria, okay. And I said to you that you should allow me to discuss with the dad first. Then when I discussed with the dad said, well, if they're not going to do the swimsuit thing, that there's nothing wrong in it. And I believe that's where my permission should come from anyway. Since he said there wasn't any problem if the swimsuit wouldn't be there, that was when I gave my full support. And we started the preparations. Going to the camp, she was asking me what country what state will she represent. I said, well, your dad always claim Lagos State because they are originally from Oyo. But their grandfather migrated to Lagos and they have a house in the heart of Lagos, in Campbell Street. So I said, well, Lagos will be fine. So I prepared her and I just told her what she should be talking about. Take this point, look at this point, look at that. And she researched everything on the internet herself. She went for the camp and I did not know that she could win. I did not have a clue that she could win. So we were there, we were just having fun and all until, the judges finished their thing. And when her name was announced, it was a very joyous moment for all of us. All of us. And from there, we just made up our mind that we're going to give her the full support throughout our reign. And I thank God that our reign gave a new meaning to Miss Nigerian Ireland. It kickstarted something good for the organization. And she was, a good role model.
Do you think that participating in the Miss Nigerian Ireland helped Emanuela to discover her confidence?
Definitely. Definitely. I won't shy away from that. It boosted her confidence. That day, on the day of the pageant, the night that she stood on that stage and was talking about her project, about her state, I was dumbfounded because I've never seen my child like that. That was the first I would see her. I know she has the potential, to come out, to talk and all that. But that was the very first day I saw it in her coming to bear. And it has helped her because she was able to network both within Irish and immigrant community. It gave her a platform to work on. And going to Nigeria just sealed it up for her. Because today she has, strong network in Nigeria as well. That if she wants to tap, into, she'll be able to. So it has really helped. It has been very positive for her.
As a parent, how was your relationship with Emanuela? Do you think you gave her upright advice and guidance?
That some parents, instead of, getting their children back in line, they rather take side and not do the right thing. There are days that Emanuela will cry home when she was the queen. She will tell me, Peter said this, Peter said that. I will listen. And I will ask her questions. What led to it? What did you do? What didn't you do? And I will tell her straight what she would have done. I will tell her. And you will remember that I will call you on a number of occasions to talk to you too. And I believe that's the way to train children. Because now she has to deal with loads of parents of children in our school. If I had not trained her to deal with one person or an organization with few people, how would she have been able to deal with parents of numerous children under her today? To the extent that she's now using the parents to adopt groups within the school. That is learning. That is training that she has grown up to receive from home. She has a parent to a group. That parent is responsible for what goes on in each class. And that is wisdom. It's the only way to have it, to have peace, for you to be able to focus and do the right thing. So it's important that you train children, to manage relationship, to take responsibility, to accept faults whenever they go wrong. And they learn from it.
How important is the support of parents to their daughters and to the organization when their daughters is Miss Nigeria Island?
Well, they need to give their full support. For the success of their children, they need to give their full support. They need to be there for them. They need to guide them in ways, to behave, ways to carry themselves. If you are a queen, you are representing your country. You are the ambassador. So you have to portray the values that, that your country has. You have to portray the good training that you got from home. You have to show yourself as a role model to those who are coming. Those who are there and those who are, looking forward to being Miss Nigeria should look at the opportunity. Those who are there should look at the opportunity they can catch on, that they can use to better their lives after living it. And those who want to come in should look at the opportunities as well that is available and make good use of it.
Do you think that there's something wrong with participating in pageants?
I believe that there is nothing wrong in pageant as against the mindset that, a lot of people have. It depends on how you portray yourself. It depends. I believe that every queen will look back at what Emanuela achieved and want to as well. So I think, parents should give their full support to their children and to the organization.
How can we overcome the lack of unity amongst the African community in Ireland?
We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice there, Peter. It's the way to go. We need to unite as one. We need to unite as brothers and sisters, regardless of where you come from in Nigeria. As long as we're outside that shore of Nigeria, we need to take ourselves as one. and act as one. That is the only time we can stand. It is the only time. The Bible says it. Says 1 we pull 1,000, 2 10,000. Look at the ratio. I had to tell my community here in Dundalk at some time. I said, I don't like it when we only come together when somebody dies. It is not good enough. We need to come together as friends, as brothers and sisters, not when someone dies. We should be rejoicing together, having fun and helping each other, not contributing money to the family of the bereaved after they have died. I don't like that. I don't like that. I believe that we're in this world to make a difference. We're in this world to help each other, to impact on each other's lives. Anything short of that is a waste of time.
Do you think we get more support from the Irish community than we get from the Africa community?
I will say 100%. 100%. I'll say that. Because what the Irish need to hear is your story. When you tell them your story, they show empathy. For me, I will say that challenge. The Irish helped me more than my community. The Irish people helped me more than my community. My mere, having just a friendship with the principal of my children's school got me the job I did. I didn't apply for the job. I was called to come and fill the position because it was the one that fixed them into the school and got secondary school for those who were to enter secondary school when I came into Dundalk. It was through him that my child sang with President Bill Clinton on stage in the year 2000 in this Dundalk. It was through him that I got leave to remain in Ireland because he introduced me to the minister here and to all the TDs in Louth. And they took out my case when I was looking for leave to remain in Ireland. It was this same man that introduced me with the assistant that introduced me with the Irish Teaching Commission here. And I was being called around to deliver papers at conferences. And I was working with him. But whenever this conferences comes up, he gives me permission to attend. It was through him that I got the guest lecturer jobs that I was doing. University of Limerick, St. Patrick's, Drumcondra. So for me, Irish people helped me more than my community. More than my community here in Ireland.
Do you think it is important to have unity and to support ourselves?
I believe we need that. It's such a pity that a lot of things are falling apart among our community. And it saddens my heart that a lot of people are not interested in helping the others to grow. Instead, the pull-down syndrome is so strong among us. And it's very, very sad. If in a smaller society like this we're not united, what do you feel when you go back to Nigeria? We are not united and we need to. I remember when I first came, I was doing a lot of community activism, making sure that we are well integrated and all that. And I listened to a lot of people talking me down, like, she's going for a free job again. Because, we couldn't work at the time. So I was volunteering. And it was through my volunteering that I was, admitted into so many things. Like I'll be called to come and address one group or the other about our culture so that service providers can understand us and map out ways by which we could be well served. So I was going around doing that. But, I heard about a lot of things, but they didn't they didn't stop me from what I was doing. And if you ask, those who will be true to themselves will tell you that through what I did, they were able to do this, do that, achieve this, achieve that. I believe that is what our society should be like. Our community should be like. I believe we should be united as one and speak with one voice so as to get what we deserve. Thank God a lot of people are settled now. I remember at that time, a lot of people don't have their paper even to work. And the way they are being treated by social welfare and all that wasn't something to write home about. It is now that we are settled that I believe that we should come together as one and make our country great. But unfortunately, that's not what we're having.
Finally, your advice to parents, especially the young parents and the Africa community as a whole.
Well, on parenting, I'll say give time to your children. They need it. Be interested in their lives. Nothing is too small in their life for you to be interested in. Make sure you support them. Make sure you encourage them. Ultimately, be their role model. Be their friend. And make sure there's unity in your family, among your children, between you and your husband. Make sure the environment is conducive for children's healthy growth. As for community, make sure you are able to impact on others. Be interested in what is going on around you. Be interested in what goes on and be ready to help others. Don't get involved in pulling people down. This life is so fragile. You don't know who you're going to pull down that we end up being suicidal. What is going on the social media now is so bad that it's putting our society down, our community. Where you see, especially the Yorubas, going on social media to destroy each other. It's not what we want our children to be saying. It's not the way we were brought up. So we ensure that we are a neighbor's keeper. The society help in shaping the life of children. It's not in the home alone. In the past, when you see a child of another person going wrong, you have the right to caution such child. But these days, you dare not go outside and say you are, cautioning another person's child. You might be labeled as an abuser. But from where we come from, we are always our brother's keeper. If I see a child that misbehaves outside, I have the right to say, no, you don't go that way. And if the parent hears, I expect the parent to thank me rather than fight me. So we should look at all these things. And like the Oni just said, our language is very, very important. We should make sure that our children can speak our language and they understand it, so that we don't throw out our heritage. We don't forget where we come from. It's very important that we hold on to our culture, the good aspect of it, of our culture, and hold on to God. That'll be my advice to all mothers out there. And I wish you all happy Mother's Day. I hope you are raising up your legs and you are getting pampered. We wish you many, many, many more happy years to come. Thank you.
We have come to the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope you enjoyed it and that it will help some parents in the course of parenting and inspire others to do the right thing. Next week, we will be reliving the most memorable moments of the 2008 Miss Nigeria Island pageant as we prepare to kickstart the celebration of the organization's 10th anniversary. Until then, remain blessed.